To be melancholy in the Elizabethan and Jacobean era was very fashionable. It inspired much literature, music and poetry, and it was very much associated with the creative mind. Robert Burton's book, The Anatomy of Melancholy, published in 1621, explores this human condition in encyclopedic detail. The front cover picks out different forms of melancholy, such as superstition, madness, jealousy, solitude. Paintings contemporary with the genre also portray this human emotion. Nicholas Hilliard's portrait of Henry Percy, the 9th Earl of Northumberland, dated 1594-95, is an iconic image of Elizabethan melancholy. Other works also give us a glimpse into the spirit of the age, such as The Young Man Amongst Roses, 1588, also by Hilliard. Isaac Oliver's portrait of Edward Herbert of Cherbury, 1610-1614, and also his portrait of The Unknown Man. In this episode, we celebrate a musician well known for his melancholic disposition, John Dowland, an English lute player and composer who tapped into this zeitgeist that made him into what now would be considered today as a household name. I have been chatting to Timothy Burton, a tenor and a first year studying at the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire. He and I have put together a Dowland lute song that embodies this indulgent path taken by composers and poets of the time for inward reflections of human emotion. The Renaissance has a legacy of music that focuses on this very aspect, and many lute songs are awash, quite literally, with tears, with song titles such as Flow My Tears, Go Crystal Tears, I Saw My Lady Weep, Weep Ye No More Sad Fountain, In Floods of Tears. The song that Tim will be performing for us this week is a very beautiful Dowland air found in his first book of songs, published in 1597. It's called Burst Forth My Tears. As a lute player, I play a lot of Dowland, and his lute works and song publications represent the pinnacle of the golden age of English music in the Renaissance. The first known biographer of Dowland, Thomas Fuller, in 1666 wrote, "The rarest musician that his age did behold." But for me, it's Dowland's Lachrymæ Pavane that, as a composition, delves into the secrets of the miraculous effect music can have on the soul. Lachrymæ, quite literally meaning tears, was an exceptional composition, and it came in varying forms. Dowland's publication of the Lachrymæ Antique in London 1604 was a work for viol and lute, collectively known as the Lachrymæ, or the 7 tears figured in 7 passionate pavanes. Before this came the adaptation of the lute solo as a song called Flow My Tears, found in Dowland's second book of songs, published in 1600. has stood the test of time and is still performed and enjoyed today. It's perhaps proof of the argument that true melancholia was a state that could open up the channels of creativity, perhaps better termed the heroic melancholy of the Renaissance. Hi Tim, welcome to the Priory Early Music Series online.
Hi Liz, great to be here again.
You're in your first year at the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire, is that right, Tim?
Yep, going well.
Yeah.
For the half of the year that I did do.
Yeah. But you started out as a chorister in Gloucester Cathedral. Can you tell us a bit about that and how you got immersed in the great English choral tradition?
Well, I basically started singing at 8 and never stopped, of course. But the regular services and just sort of general music teaching has been just invaluable to my what I want to be my career path in choral and solo singing.
Yes. Yeah.
I've now got a great love for English church music as well, which will never go away.
Yeah. Well, having started so early, 8, that's incredible. You must have this sort of such a broad spectrum of the English choral tradition. So did you stay at Gloucester Cathedral or have you moved around a little bit?
I did some depping in my sixth form, and then I went and was a choral scholar at Truro for a year in that cathedral choir, and then went off to Canterbury for a bit, and then came back to Gloucester for the year as a choral scholar, which was great to see a different perspective of the cathedral choir.
It's wonderful, and quite a young age as well. It must have been a very intense time for you as a sort of growing up, doing school and.
It was very difficult to balance schoolwork and services, and it was always a great excuse for why I hadn't done my homework because I'd been busy on the weekend or something.
Yeah.
Burst forth, my tears, assist my forward grief, and show what pain imperious love provokes. Kind tender love's love bent life's scant relief, and pine since pensive care my freedom yokes. Oh, pine to see me pine. Oh, pine to see me pine, my tender flocks. Oh, pine to see
Having had all of that experience, what inspired you to come to the Conservatoire as a tenor?
Well, I thought I've done a lot of choral singing, and I've sung in a lot of cathedrals, and then I need to focus on my voice, which sounds much more like a singer, I have to say, than thinking about a whole choir.
Yeah.
But that's where I need work, and it's been really great so far.
So have you had experience of doing, did you get, because obviously you've only been at the Conservatoire quite briefly, only a few months, so did you get sort of a flavour of the operatic works and projects that they do?
Yeah, I took part in the spring opera as a member of the chorus, and that was really, really far out of my comfort zone. But it was really good for me, and I did have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should imagine it was quite a big contrast, wasn't it?
Yeah, having to do sort of semi-acting was, yeah.
So, although you've only been at the Conservatoire, as I said, such a brief time, you auditioned and gained a place as an ex-cathedra scholar. Can you tell our audiences what ex-cathedra is, what it involves being a scholar, and how is it connected to the Conservatoire?
So they ex-cathedra have two sets of scholars. They have postgrad scholars, and they have scholars who are studying at the Conservatoire. And so I was very lucky to get a place in my first year, and it involves singing with the choir, which is a mix of amateurs, professionals, and scholars under Geoffrey Skidmore.
Fantastic.
Performing sort of regular concerts, such as Rachmaninoff Vespers, Bach B minor Mass. Those are two that I did this year.
Fantastic.
And with this lockdown, it's been really good because there have been some virtual projects which I've been able to be a part of. And so, for example, the scholars did one, or currently doing one, on verse anthems of the Jacobean period.
Wow.
So it's Bird and Edmund Hooper, which have been really, really good fun and interesting.
That's
and
great.
I hope to continue to sing with them, hopefully until my fourth year.
Fantastic. That's going to sort of really open up a whole new repertoire for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's going to be amazing. Yeah. And it's also really good to hear that despite the lockdown and the difficulties that musicians have had, there's all this sort of work still going on. I think that's a really nice thing. So, do you have a particular repertoire that you favour, that you sort of lean towards?
Yeah, I have an unhealthy obsession with early music, and especially church early music. So Bird, Tompkins, Wilkes, and Gibbons, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really solo focused, apart from the verse anthem stuff. But that's what I sort of listen to regularly. That's my go-to listening, and I like to do a bit of light research just to get a bit of a grip on the context of that all. And
very important. So you've been quite busy over the last few months, and you've got engaged in a lot in the Conservatoire, and you performed with us in the autumn in Great Malvern Priory in our programme called The King's Music. So you've got this amazing love of the early repertoire. Had you performed Tudor music before?
I've never done anything by Henry VIII.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, which is, I guess, the aim to branch out into all this stuff, and the Dowland as well, and all that stuff is just fantastic.
It is fantastic. And have you had an opportunity to sing with the lute?
No, never.
Yeah.
That was really exciting.
So in the future, you've got 3 years of study. What do you hope to glean from those 3 years? What are you hoping to channel out of it before you move on to pastures new?
So I'd really love to take with me the stuff I learn about the solo voice, and in my sort of freelance career idea that I've got is singing in consort groups of maybe 5 or 6 people, and singing, having something to do with cathedral singing, because that's just so important to me. As well as doing solos in oratorio type pieces. I'm quite not really planning to be an opera singer, but the opportunities at the Conservatoire do allow me to explore that.
Yes.
And I can definitely, there's things I can take from everything
Absolutely.
to forward my musical knowledge and how to perform music well.
That's fantastic. Tim, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm sure our PEMS audiences will enjoy hearing you a lot in the future, because it'd be great if you could join in with the next season and possibly seasons after that. You'll become quite a sort of a regular feature in the concerts. Thank you so much for your performance of the Dowland song Burst Forth My Tears, and thank you for featuring in this episode.
Thank you very much for involving me.
Next time I'll be chatting to Oliver Kinsteller, who will be performing for us some Luis Dina Verth on the classical guitar. So until next time.